Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a total 80s gem, or should I say, a gloriously trashy slasher comedy known as Aerobicide, also trading under the title Killer Workout from 1987. I promise you're in for a ride full of cheesy 80s pop, over-the-top workout scenes, and a killer who might just be working out a little too hard, if you catch my drift. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of this movie, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give a thumbs up if you love a good tongue-in-cheek cult movie review. At its core, Aerobicide is an accidental mashup of genres. Imagine a struggling gym run by a dedicated owner named Rhonda, a mixed community of attractive but distracted gym goers, and the unnerving presence of a slasher on the loose. Now, this isn't your classic tightly woven murder mystery. Instead, we get a movie that revels in its own absurdity by letting you watch a series of loosely connected scenes more about looks than logic. Rhonda's gym is overrun with unreliable trainers, creepy pervs who seem more interested in ogling than coaching, and, if things couldn't get any weirder, a killer armed with a giant safety pin and a penchant for dumbbell punches. Let's talk about the story, if you can even call it that. Aerobicide barely has a shred of a plot until the very end, and even then, the explanation is more of an afterthought than a real resolution. The film seems to intentionally throw logic out the window, instead inviting you to just sit back, relax, and let the ride of cheesy gym sequences and absurd action scenes take over. There's a part of the movie where the investigators attempt to piece together the motive behind the murders. Comes off more as a quirky aside than a crucial plot point. It's as if the filmmakers decided that the best plot twist was to simply let you watch a stylish display of spandex-clad gym members, knowing full well that your brain might just go on vacation for a while. One of the most unforgettable aspects of Aerobicide is its setting, the gym, with its neon lights, vintage aerobics routines, and an endless parade of sweat-drenched, spandex-clad women almost feels like its own character. There are stretches in the film, more than you'd care to admit, where the camera hangs on long, uninterrupted shots of gym members working out in all their glorious 80s fashion. Sure, it might seem like the filmmakers didn't have enough ideas to move the narrative along, but instead opted to showcase an idealized, almost voyeuristic tribute to that era's gym culture. It's a display so unabashedly focused on physical allure that it borders on parody, yet you can't help but appreciate the audacity of it all. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, by standard cinematic brains, Aerobicide is not a good film. The acting is overdone, the dialogue is as thin as the plot, and the fight scenes are hilariously choreographed primarily for their unintentional comedy. Every punch, kick, and clumsy martial arts maneuver feels like it was designed more to elicit laughs than to build tension. And yet, in this chaos of hammy performances and nonsensical sequences, there's a strange and captivating charm. The film almost dares you to switch off your critical brain and simply enjoy the spectacle, like a guilty pleasure that you know you shouldn't admit to loving but can't help but watch over and over again. Let's give a quick shout out to the cast. Marcia Carr, who plays gym owner Rhonda, shoulders the entirety of the film's hopeful if underdeveloped narrative. In a world where everything else is off the rails, Rhonda's determination to keep her gym running amid mayhem gives you a hint of backbone in an otherwise flimsy story. And then there's David James Campbell and Fritz Matthews, who, with their straightforward and sometimes bewildering performances, add to the overall vibe of absurdity. There are fleeting moments of cinematic genius here. A sudden, slow-motion cut from a fiery workout montage to a brutal, yet hilariously botched, fight scene that makes you do a double take. It's almost as if the entire film is orchestrated to be a tribute to the unintentional comedy of low-budget 80s cinema. Reflecting on Aerobicide, there's an undeniable nostalgia in its presentation. This movie is a relic from a decade when excess was celebrated, when synthesizers dominated the soundtrack, and every frame was a snapshot of flamboyant, unapologetic style. In our era of polished special effects and perfectly edited sequences, this film stands out as a reminder of a time when movies were allowed to be rough around the edges. Its endless workout sequences, combined with ludicrous fight scenes and a scattershot plot, feel like a window back to the days when filmmakers had fun with the so bad it's good genre. It's a movie that nudges you to laugh at its own absurdity, to revel in its overdone tropes, and to simply enjoy an evening of trashy, unintentional comedy. So why watch Aerobicide? For fans of gloriously misguided movie projects, this film is a must-see. It doesn't aim to be a masterpiece. It's unapologetically, unabashedly, and remarkably bad in all the right ways. It's the kind of film that invites you to let go of logic, switch off your brain, and just appreciate the raw, unrefined spectacle laid out before you. Whether you're there for the extended shots of gym workouts that feel like a nod to voyeuristic pleasures, or for the hilariously clumsy fight scenes that mix martial arts with pure slapstick, there's a weird sort of beauty in the chaos. In the end, Aerobicide isn't trying to win any awards. It's here for one thing: fun. It's a film that throws all caution and any pretense of quality out the window in favor of a wild ride defined by neon lights, overdose of 80s pop, and a killer with a giant safety pin. It's a movie that knows it's bad, and that acknowledgement is exactly what makes it so endearing. So sometimes you need a movie that lets you put aside your expectations and enjoy the absurdity for exactly what it is: a wonderfully campy, ridiculous snapshot of 80s culture. If you've got a soft spot for films that go off the rails in spectacular fashion, then give Aerobicide a try. Watch it to laugh, to cringe, and to revel in the sheer audacity of a film that refuses to take itself seriously. Trust me, there's something intoxicating about a movie that's so self-aware in its incompetence that it transforms from a train wreck into a cult classic before your very eyes. That's all for today's deep dive into Aerobicide, a film that's as bizarre as it is utterly unpolished. I hope you enjoyed this exploration into one of the most intriguing oddities of 80s cinema. Drop a comment below if you have any thoughts on this crazy ride, or if you've got other cult classics that deserve a spotlight. And if you liked this review, don't forget to subscribe for more movie madness, hit the notification bell, and join me on this journey through the wonderfully weird world of forgotten films. Until next time, this is your host signing off. Stay retro, keep watching the weird stuff, and never be afraid to laugh at a movie that's too bad to be anything but absolutely fun.